All right, everybody. Looks like I am now live. So if I have anybody jumping in the comments, this will be our first time going live off of this studio. So please bear with me. These first couple of minutes will likely be going through some level of error testing, making sure that the broadcast is functioning and all of those types of things. So if you are joining in, please go through and drop comments in whatever relative social media site you're on. Let me know where you're calling from, where you're communicating from, and that you can hear me. So for those as you are joining in, please bear with me. First 4 to 5 minutes of this will likely be going through some errors and testing. Let me make sure that I've got good audio coming in. So let me test this side. Test, audio coming through on there. How's the output levels looking over here? Looking good. Gonna go through a couple camera cuts. Everything is looking good on that side. All right. Let me go through and check the comments. All right, comments may need to be verified down here. All right, looks like some people are joining in. I've got a couple people communicating. Please apologize. Facebook guys, can y'all hear me over there on Facebook? Ryan says if I'm using OBS, play with the audio sync function. Sound great. Hey, I've got 27 plus people watching. Let me know if you are live. You gonna come say goodnight? Say goodnight, kiddo.
Dad.
Good night, kiddo. Oh, mwah. You go. Yeah. All right. Get out of here, kiddo. Love you.
Time for bed.
Say hi.
Hi.
All right. Get out of here. Love you, kiddo. Go say good night to mamas. Hey, I gotta go. Hey, here comes another one. Come on, kid. Come here. Well, she's going for a tour. All right, everybody. Gonna have a quick dad break. Oh, I got my kiddos here. Oh, let me get them home. Let me get them in bed real quick. 2 seconds. There you go. Back to mama. All right. There you go. Love you, kids. Love you. Bye, nights. All right. Back to it. How's everybody doing? Do we have good audio? For whatever reason, I'm not seeing that come in. All right, all sounds good. So I've got the Facebook coming in. I'm going to verify YouTube real quick. All right, sounds like everybody can hear. So I did set up some interesting functions beforehand that didn't come working through. I was supposed to have a chat log that's getting laid over the studio, and I'm not seeing that. So for me to see your comments, I'm gonna actually have to go back and forth to a computer. So in the meantime, like I said, bear with me. This first few minutes are gonna be dealing with technicals. This is the first time going live from this studio. That to be said, I've got some learning to do. In the meantime, I'm gonna try and catch up with where we're at over here. It's been a while since I've seen all y'all. It's been probably close to, I don't know, 3 months, 2 months since we've gone Facebook Live. Missed everybody. I'm trying to get the social media comments pulled up on this laptop over here. Let me see if I can get it pulled up. All right, there we go. I got Facebook comments up now. You said there's a time lapse between audio and video. Give me 2 seconds real quick. See if I can get that figured out for you. Stop streaming, start studio mode, settings. Over here on the audio, sample rate, channel stereo, desktop audio device, mic, auxiliary audio, meter decay, peak meter, media source. If everybody's hearing the audio, is the audio doing well? Audio doing well. Like I said, this will last for about 4 or 5 minutes before we get on to the next side. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get to it then. It looks like I've got comments coming through from Facebook. If y'all are having issues with the audio, please let me know. My apologies. But I do believe we are in a good position to get started. So, let me see over here. I'm getting YouTube set up real quick. Thank you everybody for holding on. All right, looks like we've got a couple hundred people watching between the separate platforms. So, I'm going to try and monitor the comments as they're coming in. I'm going to be flying solo with this studio, so please excuse my delays. First off, let me ask everybody in here a quick question. What do y'all think about the new studio? New studio looking okay for you? All right. All right, let's get down. Let's get this moving. Switch over to the switch gear. All right. Got a couple of different camera angles we can play with here. All right. So, everybody, how are y'all doing tonight? It's been, I guess, like I said, probably 2 to 3 months since I've gone Facebook Live, or really since I've been on social media much at all. And I know that there's been a lot going on, both with inside the company and, you know, with the everything that's going on, both internationally, nationally, with everything. I mean, there's just tons of things going on. And I really wanted to take the opportunity to come here and address all of y'all at the same time. I've had, I don't even know how many messages of people sending me, you know, just random messages through Facebook Messenger or through my text messages or whatever, asking me what my thoughts are on what's going on right now. Obviously, 5, 6, 7 months ago, Grant and I had released a video speaking on some of the things of a potential recession moving into 2020. And because of that, I just think there's a lot of people that are wanting to hear my thoughts as to what's going on right now. I don't really know how to say what I do and don't believe. I mean, ultimately, everything I have to say in regards to everything that's going on right now is it's a sad moment for all of us. There's a lot of people that are going to hurt from this, both short-term and long-term. And with that to be said, that's never something to celebrate by any means. And there's a lot of people right now celebrating that. I can understand why they're excited for their own personal reasons, but when we really look at everything in the grand scheme, there's a lot of trouble in the future, in my opinion. And there's nothing that we're going to do or say right now that'll change that. Somebody may have opinions that differ from that, and that's one of the great things about this world is we can all have an opinion. Mine lean heavily towards that the next year, at the very least, is going to be extremely difficult, not only for real estate investors, not only for small business owners, but for everybody that's affected by what's going on in the world right now, and there's a lot going on. Those things to be said, like, how do I feel about the next month or so of activity? And I'm not even going to deep dive in on the entire situation with the virus, because there's plenty more credible sources out there besides myself that can speak on that at levels that I could never speak on it at. So I'm not even going to talk about it. What I'm going to talk about is the effects of it and how is that going to impact everything that we've got going on. And I'll look at that from several different perspectives. How should I say that? Like, there's going to be massive economic disruption. I truly believe that. I believe that across the board, small businesses are going to feel this and feel this hard. I've had numerous discussions with people within my circles that are incredibly intelligent, well-connected people that have done their own research. And the effects on small businesses as well as large businesses is going to be, in my opinion, relatively bad. Like, I don't want to use the word catastrophic because there's still a large number of unknowns. Like, I can't sit here and definitively say this will happen, that will happen, and everybody tries to, say that's my way of getting out. But I cannot control other people's actions, and there's other people's actions involved with this that can change the way some of these things are hit in regards to like monetary fiscal policy. If we start talking about central banks and their interventions with this, if we start talking about governing policy and their intervention with this, those could really push things around, as we've seen in the past in 2008. In my opinion, 2008 should not have been the Great Recession. It really should have been the Great Depression 2.0. But because of fiscal policy that was introduced during that time, the can got kicked down the road, and we saw the longest run of a bull market than I think we've ever seen before in the past. We went the last 12 years, or I guess you can't really say 12 years. The first 2008, 9, 10 was a fairly hard dip. But from 2010 to 2020 has been a really long bull run. Those things to be said, we have got considerable reasons to consider that there is a lot of things being affected by the virus as of right now. Import, trading, all of that shutting down. Our businesses, small businesses, all moving from home. I had an interesting conversation or round of communication with a man named Keith Blackboard, a retired CPA that retired at a very young age. I don't want to speak too much on his personal life, but a very, very intelligent man. And he sent me some links with some interesting things. And there's a website out there. I'll share the links with y'all real quick. It's called let me see real quick. I've got a computer sitting down here. Oops. I'm going to drop a link over here in the streams for y'all to watch. But that link right there is from a website called Homebase. And what does Homebase do? Homebase runs real-time calendars, time tracking software for small businesses, for remote businesses. So if you have employees that are working from home, they use Homebase to verify that you're at work and that you're doing your job. Homebase published an interesting article regarding their real-time data that they can see on their servers in regards to employment. And with the employment piece put into place, they have seen, and I recall, like, go look it up. Just go Google, so I don't even have to worry about pasting it for you. Just search Homebase COVID-19, and they're seeing like a 60% drop in their employment. So what's that going to look like over the next 3 to 4 months? In my opinion, that's going to be a lot of people that are unable to afford things they were normally able to afford. Anytime that happens, we're in trouble. I've also said, when I did the last speech at the Dallas Raya event, I said something along the lines of, it was a pretty deep speech, but most Americans, and I'd say more than half, probably closer to 2/3 of Americans are living what we call JOB, just over broke. One paycheck to one paycheck, and beyond that, they don't have much left. Maybe a month's worth of reserves at best, and then they're out. So how's this going to look? Absent, drastic policy changes, drastic fiscal intervention, central bank intervention, there's going to be a lot of defaults. There's going to be a lot of people defaulting on a lot of things. And if that does happen, what is the outcome going to be? Is the government going to intervene in some way to try and stop that? Are they going to try and jump in and bail it out? I don't know. I'm not here to speculate on that. I don't have, a crystal ball to say, other than I don't see any outcome over the next year outside of some hard times for a lot of people. Now let's drill this back in and look at how is this going to work for us as real estate investors, and how, as real estate investors, are we going to be affected by this, and real estate as a whole. Let's talk about, like, right now, today. What happens if you're a landlord? What happens if you are servicing subject to wraps and you are concerned about your subject to wrap buyer, being able to make their payments to you, and therefore you having the ability to make the payments back to your bank? What about the landlords that are concerned about their tenants that are, will or will not be able to make rent for the next couple of months? How are we going to deal with all of that? Corey Thompson was doing a live, probably a week or two ago, and he mentioned one of the things that I think is probably a good way of getting ahead of this and seeing what opportunities you have to weather this storm a little better. is reach out to your lenders. Reach out to your lenders both on your subject to sides, reach out to your lenders on your rental properties, and just ask them up front, hey, can I start applying for some level of forbearance agreement? Can I get a 30, 60, 90-day forbearance agreement on this to weather this storm? Is it a guarantee you'll get that? Probably not. There's no guarantee of that whatsoever, but I do believe in his short amount of time in requesting that, I already received an acceptance of a forbearance agreement. For those that are not aware of what a forbearance agreement is, it's essentially you just coming to terms with the bank and the bank allowing you to postpone a payment for a later date or a later time, something along those lines. But make communication with your bank. The banks know what's going on. They're not oblivious to everything that's happening right now. So consider reaching out to them and figuring out from them what options they will allow you to move forward with in these hard times. Beyond that, what else can we look at? What else can we think about? I've published several articles over the past 6 to 7 months speaking on, and I've spoken quite heavily across some podcast circuits as well as some live events into my opinions on what we should do and how we should operate as real estate investors in a downturning market cycle. A lot of those articles that I published had some, clickbait headlines. One of the things that I have found both disturbing and saddening in some ways over the past several years of really being on social media a lot heavier. For those that don't know me, I'm not a real big social media fan. I'm not really big on it feels, fake to me in a lot of ways. I don't like being on social media. All of those things combined and all of those things to be said, one of the things that I've noticed through social media is unless we start talking about if we don't flash fancy cars and we don't flash mansions and we don't talk about stacks of money, people don't seem to really care. Like, from one of the things I've seen from Propelio TV and running Propelio TV for a couple of years is those flashy topics everybody wants to look at. But whenever I sit down and say, like, here's actually how you go out and get your Lambo, nobody pays attention to that. But if I flash a Lambo, everybody in the world looks at it, and some of those things. So I started adjusting the titles to our videos to try and catch a little bit more of people's attention. And let me give you my overall thoughts on the downturning cycle and my thoughts on it, because my titles read stuff like how to make millions in the 2020 recession. And I put that out 7 months ago. That wasn't something I put out clickbait 3 weeks ago. That isn't something I put out to clickbait when this entire virus kicked. I put this out 6 or 7 months ago because me and a lot of the people I associate with that are extremely high-level investors that have been through the game for a long time all said the market's coming to an end, and it's coming to an end soon. And when you have that many people in my mind that are in my inner circle of mentors, of people that I reach out to for advice in my hard times, and when they're all telling me that, hey man, hard times are coming upon us and you need to be preparing your portfolio for that, I could have went back out to the world and ignored those warnings and just kept telling everybody involved, hey, go out there and keep investing in real estate, keep doing this, keep doing that. Instead, I tried to do my best to think of how would we operate in a downturning market? How should we move forward in a way that doesn't end up with massive amounts of defaults from us real estate investors? And when I say we, Grant and I did a rather long series on exactly how to operate in a downturning cycle. The reason I have that long-winded introduction into what we should be doing as real estate investors, I need to preface that entire argument or that entire statement with, we are real estate investors, and we as real estate investors, first and foremost, need to be focused on helping people. If you're not out there helping people, then, my hopes are is you won't last long in this business. And the honest reality to it is many of the people that don't help people and many of the people that do a good job of not helping people are the ones that make the most money. And that's sad. But we as real estate investors should take into consideration that every deal we do should be a win-win. We should not try and extract every single dime we can out of a seller for our own benefit. There are definitely times where a seller has no concern over a sale price and they're just like, get rid of the house, I'm done. You know what? Those are your wins, and that's good for you. But when someone's sitting there like, I have absolutely nowhere to go, I don't even have $1 to move, and you're about to make $70,000 on an assignment fee, help that seller out. I mean, seriously, at what point in time do you have to have a heart to be a real estate investor? And I think it's at always. There's no point for you to be a real estate investor and not have some level of a heart in your businesses. So, a lot of what we're going to do as real estate investors is going to be helping people out of these foreclosures. Foreclosure investing for the past several years has been pretty tight across the board. Fewer and fewer properties go into foreclosures. More and more properties have equity in them. Less properties go into auction. With less properties going to auctions, foreclosures has historically, for the past couple of years, been a lot more difficult. There's likely going to be a wave of foreclosures coming in the next year. Are they going to happen in the next couple of months? No. Truly don't believe that in any means. But over the next year, I do believe there will be upticks of foreclosures across the board. How significant those upticks are really depends upon what kind of stimulus packages are released by the central banks, what type of actions the banks take in regards to defaults over the next couple of months. I really foresee over the next couple of 60 days there being a lot of discussions. How are they going to handle this? What are they going to do? And depending upon that, really going to depend upon how foreclosures move forward. But if there is not any sort of drastic action taken on that side, in the next 12 months, foreclosure investing is 100% going to tick up by far. And I don't even say tick up; it's gonna push through the roof, and that's very saddening for the homeowners themselves, and for anybody out there that is working with these homeowners. You really need to remember who these people are. These are people just like you. They weren't planning on this situation. I'd say 3/4 of Americans are in a JOB situation where they're just over broke. And of those 75%, there's probably 30 to 40% of them, they're just destitute. They're not even making it paycheck to paycheck. They're having to do something extra and on the side to survive. And it's all of these people that are going to get hurt the hardest. And with that said, we need to figure out situations where we can truly create win-wins as real estate investors, not only for ourselves, but for the people that we are helping. And you need to remember that word, helping. We are there to help them. Maybe we don't have a solution for them to save their home. Maybe because of their current situation, saving their home is just not an option. But we need to help them with relocation. We need to help them with securing some new place to survive, some new place to live. We need to help them through that process. And we need to remember through this process, not only of contracting properties, but through marketing to these people, that, you know what? They're human beings. Treat them like it, Treat them like you've got some love, and treat them like that, they don't treat them like an opportunity to make as much money as you possibly can. And for that to be said, let's see what we can do to truly help them. Beyond pre-foreclosures, some of the things I mentioned in that first video of that series that Grant and I did together. For those of you that didn't see that series with Grant, Teach Me Something, maybe somebody out there that can go out there and look that up, download or drop those links in there. I'm not even going to try and worry about setting links and stuff right now or dealing with comments. I'll try to come back to comments towards the end. Somewhat new on this studio, and for those that don't know me well, I'm an extreme introvert. Beyond being an extreme introvert, I get extremely camera shy, and my anxiety goes crazy while I'm on camera. So y'all cannot see it right now, but I'm like imploding on my own mind. So that to be said, I'm going to continue moving forward. If anybody wants to help me out with that, drop some links to those Grant Teach Me Something series that we did. But one of the things I said in there is, if we look back at the 2008 recession, the start of it, the housing bubble started to move. It started popping. As that happened, banks started tightening up. They stopped loaning. They stopped pushing money out. Some of the things that have happened here recently, and what I said during that last video, is I anticipated that during the onset of this, banks would get timid. They would start pulling back and really changing up their underwriting, reviewing, changing up how they're analyzing loans. And some interesting things have happened, and I think may have happened too fast, is the Federal Reserve, almost immediately after the announcement of the equity markets moving down, what happened? The Federal Reserve immediately went out and started slashing their interest rates. How much further can they go on those interest rates? We can always go negative. We can do negative interest rates. I don't really think that's going to do anything. If my intuition had to say anything, that would push us towards hyperinflation. I don't consider that to happen, and I'm not some genius, so feel free to make fun of me all you want. But I think the alternative to inflation would be deflation. And I honestly believe we'll be moving into a deflationary period. Some of the things that I've discussed openly with people I've talked to about this is the possibility of moving into the introduction of a new currency to force a deflationary status. That's something I read about from Nouriel Roubini, talking about an option outside of inflation to push for this. And for those interested, just look them up. But deflation and the introduction of a new currency might be the outcome of this. I don't even know how I got on that trail. Let me pull it back. I was talking about foreclosures. I do believe that housing prices are going to drop. I don't know how far and how long, but I definitely see them stalling, and I've already seen banks starting to go against the norm and shift up their underwriting policies. With them shifting up their underwriting policies, I don't see loans being fluid for the next probably 6 months. And then from there, underwriting I think is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And then moving even further from there, I see the opportunities for the housing market prices to drop, and subject to another creative financing structures to be relatively valid. I don't really think lease options are going to play well in that period, but subject to during that initial downturn where people are losing their equity and or have no equity to move, this is where you as real estate investors need to sharpen your skills. And across the board, if you're new in this business, old in this business, across the board, learn subject to. For those that have not been introduced to the Propelio Academy yet, this is not a sales pitch. In fact, the Propelio Academy does not have, education for sale. If there's anybody in the crowd right now that's watching that has experienced the Propelio Academy, please drop in the comments and let everybody know that it's not a bait and switch. It's not a BS scam. But there's a full course. There's several courses in there now revolving around subject to and creative financing. You need to sharpen your skills. For all of the newer real estate investors that are learning about subject to and they're hearing about this wonderful new opportunity of using subject to help owners, I need to be clear in my understanding in my statements. I don't consider subject to be a strategy to be used by newer real estate investors. So that right there is my warning, and what I would like to say is, be sure that if you're going to start doing subject to transactions, you have several key people on your team. And who are those people going to be? You're going to need a very well-experienced real estate investing attorney that is very prominent and capable in your state to help you draft proper contracts for subject to. This is not a go to the Google, download and do it type of transaction. Laws change and vary drastically from state to state, and you really need to be protected on that side. So number one, you need somebody on your legal side. You're going to need a well-processed internal bookkeeper of some sort if you're going to start doing volume. You're going to need somebody that's notating incoming accounts, outgoing accounts, defaults, and making sure that people are being notified. You're going to need to have some sort of admin level capacity on that side. There are servicing companies out there that you can use to service them for you, but you're going to need that person on your team. You're going to need an adequate closing agent on your team, someone that understands the process of doing a close, a double close for that matter of fact, on a subject to transaction where you're turning around and selling it on a wrap. You're going to need those types of people on your team, and you're going to need liquidity. So if you're just now getting started and you do not have those people, please take my warning and take my advice. Find somebody local to you that is very prominent and capable of doing these. Do a good job of vetting them, making sure they've been in the industry for a considerable amount of time. Ask them for proof that they can close these types of transactions, and then partner with them. Find some viable way of partnering with them so that way you can paper them up, and maybe you can wholesale that contract to them in exchange for some knowledge exchange. Or maybe y'all can just become partners where you handle acquisitions and they handle management. And there's some sort of relationship built off of that where y'all can split the deals. For the more advanced people out there that do creative financing, please drop in the comments and let these people know that, you know what, I applaud you for wanting to do it on your own, but you're best advised until you've got that team behind you, you've got that liquidity behind you, not to attempt those transactions on your own. Why do I say that? Because real estate investing as a whole, I consider, will be under attack in the next 5 years and progressively over the next 5 years, especially with the introduction of more and more people knowledgeable about real estate investing, more and more people understanding exactly what creative financing is and how to set up those terms, is going to create the opportunity for a lot of real estate investors, newer real estate investors, and or less knowledgeable real estate investors to go out there and start doing a lot of activities that have long-term effects on homeowners. Anytime that happens, there's going to be laws put in place to try and stop us from what we're doing. Is what we are doing bad? By no means do I consider it to be, not even in the least. There will just be people that have a lack of knowledge that will do things accidentally that not only put the homeowner that sold the house in trouble, put themselves in trouble, and put the new buyer in trouble. But I don't consider it to be malicious. I just consider it to be a lack of experience. So one of the key things that I'm going to be pushing hard for with Propelio is to bring the knowledge to as many people as I possibly can, so that way there is less potential for us to get into those levels of trouble. Things like trying to find some standardized contracts that you can use as a baseline to take to your attorney. Start trying to find some level of baseline contracts to help assist you with your wholesaling. So that way we as an industry can start somewhat regulating ourselves. Because if we don't regulate ourselves at some level, we will be regulated. There are very large lobbying bodies that push legislation consistently into law that go against our community. And we don't really hold a strong voice in that say. So there will be a lot of initiatives from my side moving forward in that direction. Moving forward past creative financing and that introducing into the market, I really want to say I consider that to be the next probably year of heavy activity based upon the next couple of months of activity. Based upon what happens over the next couple of months, we'll really predict how that's going to play out. And if anybody wants to learn more and deeper on that side in regards to the market cycles, watch that series I released 6 or 7 months ago. I believe you can just search Propelio Recession, and I do speak pretty heavily on how to operate through all points of that market cycle. Once again, if somebody out there could drop that link for us and put your notes in there as to if you watched it and what your thoughts were on it. I think I'm going to probably open up to some questions. Before I open up to questions, let me talk about the next couple of months as real estate investors, how I would see things happening. If you are still out there buying deals, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, make sure that you're deleveraged. Don't try and go in there at a full 95 cents. Maybe you have your own personal strategies for why, but I think across the board, a safer bet right now would not to be leveraged to the max. Making sure that when you're underwriting the criteria up front, you have alternate exit strategies. Like if you're planning on flipping something and you're wanting to take it straight to the retail market, maybe on that side you should consider having alternate exits. Like if I can't take it straight to the retail market, can I turn it into a rental? Could I turn it into another something? I almost said Airbnb, but I quickly said no to that because I think Airbnb is under a serious issue right now. Moving beyond that, wholesale's still viable. There's still going to be people buying. Wholesaling is available in any marketplace. You're just going to have to really speak with your end buyers, seeing what their buy box is adjusting to. I don't really think there's a massive amount of people right now getting 95-cent offers on their homes. So the market might start shifting towards a buyer's market. When we do start shifting toward a buyer's market, we need to understand that we need to be in active communication with our buyers so that way we know where we should be contracting these properties at. If you've got rentals, like I mentioned earlier, speaking on the forbearance agreements with your lenders, trying to work out some sort of payment plans or something like that with your tenants. I'm not really a big fan of the people right now out there marching to kick people out of their homes. While I believe that you have every right to run your business as you want to, I just don't see it being a wise decision. I don't really care across the board. My opinions on that are you kick them out, and there's going to be a flood of people right now getting kicked out, which means they're all going to be searching for a home, and none of them are going to have income. So what's the point to you kicking them out? I mean, you're just going to end up with a vacant property that you're debt servicing anyways. Maybe you're trying to scare them into making sure they pay you so that way they're not depending upon the government to do it for you. But I'm not a landlord myself. I've got commercial property. I prefer my commercial tenants over residential tenants. But I'm not going to speak heavy on that. I'm not a big-time landlord. I don't really like being a landlord. I prefer commercial, just because of the way the laws are run on that. Notes. What if you are servicing notes? Well, if you're sold a bunch of wraps, you are servicing notes. I spoke on that to a point. What else am I looking at? I just threw down a bunch of notes of things that I wanted to touch base on. For those that are still watching, stick around towards the end. I'm going to get deep into Propelio itself, what my thoughts on Propelio are. I did have a period of time where I was considering shutting Propelio completely down. And for those that are interested, stick around to the end. I will discuss in depth what Propelio is, what Propelio will be, and how things have changed drastically here at Propelio. And I'll discuss that towards the end. So I'm not sure what else I've got to say on that side. I'll probably kick back to as many comments as I can real quick. And for those that are out there, if you already asked a question that was not answered, maybe you can drop that question again. And I'll just move over to studying these comments for just a moment and see what I can do to help. So, what do I got here? Sorry, guys. All right. Well, what I'm going to have to say on this side is I'm going to have to get used to running this studio. I don't really think that I'm going to be able to go through all of these comments. There's quite a few going on right now. I see a lot of people watching, and I only see 38 likes and hearts. If you would do me a favor, please give me some sort of love, both from YouTube, both from Facebook, from everywhere y'all might be viewing right now. If you could, just reach out, share that love, smash those little like buttons. If you haven't subscribed to the channels before, feel free to follow us on YouTube. Feel free to follow us on Facebook. I feel like I've forgot a bunch that I should have discussed, but really my overall sentiment falls back to it's going to be a tough year across the board. Small businesses are going to shut down. There's going to be massive amounts of required effort across the board, and all of those things combined means that the recession is probably pulling up. And depending on how things roll, we may actually move into a second depression. That's harsh. That's really harsh to say. That is my opinions. There's plenty of people that'll contradict it, and I'm glad they do. Does that mean that we as real estate investors are shut down? By no means. And I've said this before, I actually think that this upcoming recession, potential depression, will likely be the largest economic opportunity for everyone involved. And I'm going to let this be a segue into Propelio itself. I believe deeply in helping others. I believe deeply in sharing knowledge and education and doing that freely. I really would like to see the entire world move into a thought process that scales away from the mindset of I win, you lose. You know, at what point in time do I really want somebody else to lose? Like, when everything plays out, if I do my absolute best and somebody else does their absolute best, what's to say that we both can't win? What's to say that we both cannot come out the other side better people than we were when we started? So at no point in time do I want to see others lose. So with that to be said, the situations that I grew up in, and many of my friends, all of my friends, and this is where I've struggled in the past, is almost all of us know and understand exactly what struggle is. We fully understand what it's like to grow up without opportunity. We completely and totally understand what that JOB lifestyle feels like. And whenever I really sit back and I look at that from across the board, what's the biggest difference between being JOB and being absolutely broke to success? The leading factor I would say to that is opportunity. And some people will disagree, and I'd gladly debate that on an open forum. I'd gladly debate anybody in the world on that on an open forum. But it's opportunity. And when we start talking about opportunity comes in a lot of places. And it starts at our family, at our home. You know, when we first start out, if we start out in a broken home with a broken family, our opportunities are automatically cut considerably. And then we move from there and we look at our education. You know, our education opportunities for those that have the opportunities to go to the better schools, that get to be in the better school districts, that get to go to, you know, private schools, that get to go to upper level education. Your opportunities expand tenfold. But what happens for all of the people that do not have those opportunities afforded to them up front? I believe that the world should move towards open education across the board. I don't care what it is. Like, anything that somebody wants to learn, there should be no barrier to that. And that includes, in my opinion, university level education. It doesn't take anything for that university professor that teaches the same thing year after year after year to teach it one time, record it, and release it to the world for the entire world to grow from. That means that anybody that has access to the internet has access to the opportunities they need to grow. How is that going to hurt us as a world? How is educating the entire mass of this world a bad thing? If somebody is compelled and driven enough to sit their butt down and go through and watch a full university education and do their own studying enough to the point that they are well versed in this, that tells me that person was motivated. That person had a reason that they wanted to learn that. And those are the people that really should be learning it, in my opinion. And I want to see education across the board be released in such a fashion that everybody has an opportunity. And we say that we want equal opportunity, that America is the land of opportunity, and I will debate that. America is the land of opportunity for those that were benefited from the opportunity. There are a lot of people out there right now that did not get that benefit of opportunity, and I know a lot of us have bootstrapped and pulled our ass out of the gutter. And that is rare. It is extremely hard to overcome the mindset that you learn after generational poverty. There are massive levels of hurdles that you have to get over growing up in lower socioeconomic statuses where you are accustomed and used to violence. There is significant hurdles that you have to overcome to make that leap and bound. And for those that have never experienced having to overcome those hurdles, then you really may not understand how difficult those hurdles really are. And I believe that education is the backbone to creating opportunity for all of them. And I don't see how that hurts the world. How is a well-educated world a problem? You know what? Maybe someone doesn't make $100 million off of an idea. They only make $5 million off of an idea. Well, you know what? If you only made $5 million, but 20 other people made $5 million as well, then great. I believe that we all can be a better world with a spread of knowledge. So how does that reflect upon the Propelio Academy? What is the future of the Propelio Academy going to be? I don't want the Propelio Academy to be strictly real estate investing education. It started out there because that is where my strongest suit is. That is where I can speak heavily. I want the Propelio Academy to expand beyond just real estate investment education. I want it to expand to business education because, as I have repeatedly said on the Propelio TV channels more than once, speaking live, real estate investing is nothing more than a trade. What do I mean by a trade? It's like being an electrician, an air conditioning tech, being a bookkeeper, being a CPA. It is a trade. There are CPAs out there, bookkeepers out there. There are electricians, HVAC techs, framers, roofers. Those are trades. Some tradesmen get paid really well. You know what? 20, 30, 50, $100 an hour. But there are other tradesmen that get paid far more than that. They get paid $5,000 an hour, $20,000 an hour. Why? Because they learn business. If you would take business and you apply it to a trade, you have the ability to scale just about any trade that you already know across the board. Just because you're a laborer does not mean that you cannot make massive amounts of money. Just apply business principles to your labor and you can exponentially grow your income to the links of your vision. So I really want business as a backbone in the Propelio Academy. Beyond just business, I want financial education in the Propelio Academy because part of learning a business is actually going out there and being able to look at a trailing 24 months bank statement, going through and looking at your balance sheets, looking at your financial statements, and really reading a business from a financial standpoint to see what the trajectory of that business is. Is it a healthy business? Is it a business that is being ran appropriately? These are all things that I had to learn through sourcing my own information, through surrounding myself with the networks of people that can teach me these things. What if I could help leapfrog each and every one of y'all through that? And now all of a sudden we have thousands and thousands and thousands of more entrepreneurs bringing businesses back into their communities, supporting their local communities by buying properties, financing those properties back out to the communities. Let's rebuild these communities. And instead of seeing all of this money go from the poor to the rich, in this next recession, next depression, where where the greatest shifts of wealth naturally occur, it has historically moved from the bottom to the top, and the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. If we are able to take knowledge and spread it across the world in a fashion that allows anybody with the drive and passion to learn and educate themselves the opportunity to do so, not only about real estate investing, but about business, about financials, then we truly can bring that wealth back to our communities, start supporting our own communities. If we want to support our different factions of our social gatherings, support them through creating your businesses to support your community. Let's stop being afraid of entrepreneurship. Let's start helping each other grow and build our businesses by sharing our wins and our losses. Our losses are far more important than our wins. For that to be said, I damn near bankrupted Propelio. My abilities as a leader were very weak. I had never grown a business like this before. I had never experienced what it felt like to grow a business like this before. I took on massive amounts of debt. Up until then, I was debt-free. I was financially retired. I took on millions of dollars of debt, also known as equity. And people will argue that equity is not the same as debt. In my opinion, I promised somebody that my vision would pan out and that I promised that I'd give them a return on their capital. And while their equity is not a promissory note, my ethics say I still owe millions of dollars to my investors, and I intend wholeheartedly to make that investment true. Throwing that out there, I had to learn how to run a business. I understood how to invest in real estate. I don't go out there and flash Lambos and Rolls Royces. Why? Because they don't mean anything to me. At one point in time, I had the money to do so. I'm not at a point anymore I can. Like I said, I damn near bankrupted Propelio. But you know what I learned in that process? I had a mentor, Mr. Gary Harper, from the Sarper Success Coaching, fly in on his own dime and sit down with me and my team to teach me how to run a business. Do you know how much he charged me to do that? Not a damn thing. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and do that for everybody watching right now, but that man got on an airplane with his wife, sat down for 2 days, and coached me through how to run my business. It is that type of opportunity that created Propelio as it is today. Because if it wasn't for that man, Propelio might not have survived. That's the truth. I was strongly considering shutting Propelio down and jumping back into real estate investing, which is what I know how to do. And I said, you know what? I'll go out there and bust ass. I'll make a couple million in real estate, and that's how I'll pay my equity partners back because I don't know how to run a software company. That's the truth. But one of the things that real estate investors, not real estate investors, but entrepreneurs often do is we bite off more than we can chew with the hopes that we can learn how to swallow it. Well, I damn near choked on that one. But I was fortunate enough that I was listening to the advice of key people, and I made the necessary actions I had to do to keep this company alive. So with that to be said, there are several people that I've completely had to change my staff. It was heartbreaking for me, beyond heartbreaking. But my staff was costing around $35,000 a month to keep employed. I have never once pulled a profit out of Propelio. I have never once pulled anywhere close to a salary that I would have made as a real estate investor out of Propelio. Why did I invest so heavily into Propelio? Because I truly believed that I had the opportunity to help people. I still believe that I have the opportunity to help people. I believe that everyone on this live stream today has the opportunity to help people. But we so often focus on how do I get rich that we forget about everyone else that we're around. And at one point in my life, I was in the same mindset. And that's why I don't like flashing the fucking Lambos and the Rolls and the mansions and all that crap. Why not? Because there was a point in time where I walked into my closet and I saw $30,000 worth of clothes. And I was just flat out disgusted with myself. It kicked off a depression that's lasted for close to 2 years. I've been historically a depressed person from the time I was the first time I ever tried killing myself, I was 11 years old. I've tried killing myself on separate occasions. I've got scars on my wrists. I've got scars on my arms. I've got the words abandoned and betrayed and deceived written down the sides of my legs with tattoos. I have historically, and I don't even want to say I've had a rough life, because I don't consider my life to be rough at all, because I've got friends and I know what their life was like. And I know exactly how hard it was for them. And I'm like, and compared to what they've had to go through, I've had a fucking easy life. But I also know some of the troubles that I've had to deal with and the struggles that I've had to deal with. And there are struggles that are often not different than those of y'all watching right now. If we all started to learn to look at this as a we not me society and really started sharing our wins and our losses with each other, helping each other educate and work through this business. You know what? What happens if you don't make $30 million this year as a real estate investor? You only made $800,000. How many people right now would feel a lot better making $800,000? I'd say almost everybody on that live chat right now would feel very good about making $800,000. Well, you want to know how to do it? Start bringing the unity back into your community. Start working towards helping each other out. You are not out there as an island that's going to defeat every other real estate investor in the world. You should be collaborating with every other real estate investor out there in the world. You should be sharing your knowledge to try and learn how to operate in this. Because honestly, in my honest opinions, it's a cyclical investment. There are certain strategies that apply really well in certain parts of the market cycle. And if you understand how to play in the market cycles, the opportunities will be abundant. If you understand creative financing and you move into this, that will last for quite a while, the next several years, as the market continues to drop. Short sales, lease options, and other activities like that are going to be far more prevalent during those times. Once you hit rock bottom, move into BRRRR. From BRRRR, build up your rental portfolio to establish 5 revenue streams of income. Hold that portfolio through the rising, appreciating market cycle. As the market cycle is appreciating, move back into rehabs, because at the bottom of a market cycle, it is safe to rehab all day long. Move into wholesaling as it gets tighter. Move into building as it gets tighter. And then as you reach the top again, look at your portfolio, run a stress test, and decide what asset classes do you want to keep? What asset classes are you wanting to get rid of? Are you looking to move out of single family, move into a different asset class? When that level of opportunity is available to you, the opportunities are abundant. Remove the scarcity mindset from your mind and shift to abundance. That is one of the biggest things I had to learn to break coming from a lower socioeconomic class. When you come from the bottom, all you can really think about is how to get it. What's like you've never had it. So all you're thinking about is get it. That comes from a scarcity mindset, because if you have that mindset, then you are of the opinion you don't already have it and it's not easy to get. Shift that mindset over to abundance and move towards that thought process that there is no end to this. When you do get to the top of a market cycle, that gets tough. But what happens when the Propelio Academy not only teaches you real estate investing, they teach you how to run a functional operational business. They teach you how to run and understand fiscal or financial analysis. What happens when we actually go in there and start teaching you how to look at the stock markets, how to look at options, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, how to look at Forex, how to look at futures, how to look at commodities, how to run a technical analysis, how to look at fundamentals of a business? How about we stop shifting all of our funds over to a broker in Wall Street that puts our money into a 401k just to watch it rolling like a roller coaster? What if we educated ourselves on our own money? Who's going to be a better steward of our money than ourselves? I want to see the Propelio Academy open up the doors to businesses, equity markets, financials, as well as real estate. That is my goal with Propelio Academy. I intend to have it translated into multiple of languages. If there's anybody out there that wants to contribute to the Academy, speak on it now. Please reach out to Elizabeth, that's Elizabeth, at propelio.com with those inquiries. If you know of somebody that is a very go-giver, golden heart person that's in your local community, that's speaking at local REIAs and just opening up the boards for everyone, mention them in here so that way we can put them out there on the global market, so that way they can share their passion with the world. Because unfortunately the truths is that for you to share that level of information, it's extremely expensive unless you're making a massive amount of money doing it. And unfortunately, most of the people that are able to achieve a national/international level of success in education are the ones making massive amounts of money doing it, whether that be ethically or unethically. There are both on there. There are unethical business people in all aspects of the world. I don't care what trade you're in. There are unethical people, but there are some trainers out there that are absolutely rock stars, and I would never go against hiring one of those trainers to do business with. But what I want is for those that are out there truly teaching and having, some serious content to drop, tag them in the messages below. So that way we can get those people here into the Propelio Academy. We will record it for them, we'll produce it for them, and we'll release it out there for you. For anybody out there that has seen the Propelio Academy and have had your complaints about the production of the Propelio Academy, guess what? I have never in my life done anything like this before. I have never in my life even thought I would be here. You know, my sister was dead by the time she was 27. My brother was dead by the time he was 27. Most of the people in my family were dead of some level of depression, drugs, or just the lifestyle that we grew up in. Most of my cousins, prison or on drugs. Most of my family is on that level. I don't want that to be the next generation of my family. I don't want that to be the next generation of your family. So I've been biting off more than I could chew for years, and you have seen the outcome of that. The software product that we currently have released is by no means something I am proud of. For all of you that have supported it and for all of you that have taken value out of it, I am absolutely in debt to you. My goal, though, for the next 6 months is to completely turn that product around and make it the absolute best it can be. I know it's had bugs. I know it's had feature issues. I know all of it adamantly because for those of you that have used Propelio and have sent in service tickets, you know that I am often the ones to respond to it. I am very much aware of its faults. I am also very much aware of the $800,000 that I'm about to put back into it. I'm also very much aware that I have several plans to shift that product around to provide more value to you. My goal is within the next 3 months to make the entire price of the entire Propelio platform $20 a month, to include all of it. If I'm able to achieve that in the next 3 months, I have some very key takeaways that I need from that, and I will discuss that with y'all in depth. But my overall goal is we are moving towards an opportunity to help thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, if not tens of or hundreds of thousands of people, through the education through the Propelio Academy. Y'all should be able to go out there and reach the lives of hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of homeowners, help thousands of entrepreneurs. And if we move forward with a unity and community thought process and a we not me lifestyle, our goal with everything that we are doing is to shift the mindset of us as individuals, as a collective group, as a nation, and as a world towards we all can win. No one has to lose. And with that to be said, help pull each other up. With that to be said, remember that when someone else is struggling, you were likely at that point in time in your life too. They may have had further along, you may have been further along, I don't care. There are a lot of people in this world that have seen a lot of struggle. And there's a lot of greed and a lot of hate in this world. Let's pull that away. Let's really work towards this. And I don't think I've got much else to say. Propelio Academy is here to stay. Propelio TV is here to stay. And the Propelio software within the next 6 months is going to be something you've never imagined or ever seen before. One of my developers right now, absolute rock star. I've got a development team in place now with management. I've got multiple developers in place right now. I've got one of the best teams I could have ever pictured in front of me right now, and all of those things combined, I want to say thank you to all of y'all for the support. Thank you to all of y'all that have stuck with us, and for all of you that would like to see these continue, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give us some love. And I'll take a few moments to look at the near comments. If you would like a moment to have something to say, drop a comment now, and I'm going to go look at what's coming in. So, Robert, Kenneth, James, Carlos, Silvana, James, Chris, Elizabeth, Andy, Johnny, Nelson, all of y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Chris, yep. I'm looking to drop it down to $20. That includes driving for dollars. That includes lists. That includes MLS comps. That includes websites. That includes everything. $20 a month, and it's there for you. Some people might look at that from a negative standpoint of like, oh, that's going to hurt us. That's going to hurt us. Remember what I just said. Remember that abundance mindset. Remember that the opportunities are about to be there. If this market does get flooded with pre-foreclosures, there's going to be thousands of people that need your help, and you need to stand up and help them. You need to understand creative financing. You need to understand all those exit strategies, and through that, the opportunities will be there. Within the next 4 to 5 years, if you are unable to create a substantial uptick in your financial statements, then reach out to somebody in the community and ask them, what can you do differently, because the opportunities will be there. You need to understand that, and by me releasing this software at $20 a month is absolutely not going to hurt anybody. What else do we have here? So I guess your name's Peter Solanowski. You're talking about translating to Polish. I would love to translate to Polish. So once again, any inquiries in regards to the Academy, please reach out to Elizabeth at propelio.com to address those, and look forward to hearing from you and working with you. So yes, I'd love to translate it to any language available to the human brain. I'd like to translate the Academy to it, because think about the immigrant that comes to this country legally or illegally. They are risking their lives often at costs that you could never have imagined, for one reason and one reason only. They want opportunity. And what better opportunity is there out there than knowledge? Knowledge has historically been used in the statement, knowledge is power. I heard someone named Brittany Washington use it slightly differently. She said knowledge applied is power. While I have released this education to thousands of people, and if you have not seen it yet, let me show you really quickly exactly what the Propelio Academy looks like. For those of you that thinks it's a bait and switch, for those out there that have seen the Propelio Academy, please drop in the comments below and let these people know this is not a bait and switch upsell program. This is not an opportunity or a grab at sales of some form like that. Let me share with you what that looks like. So if I go over here, that's what the Propelio Academy looks like. To log into the Propelio Academy, you hit the Explore Courses button, and then from hitting the Explore Courses button, guess what? You're about to get hit with 14 videos on wholesaling. Guess how much that costs you? Nothing. That doesn't mean the first 3 videos for free, the first 5 video fluffs push into an upsell. No, 100%, 14 videos right there teaching you how to wholesale. Going further down, we've got hiring and training VAs, building a recession-proof business, private lenders, mobile home investing, Airbnbs, lease options, note investing, brokerages, lead management, notes and mortgages, seller financing, title, apartment complexes, subject to and wraps. That 36 video series right there on subject to and wraps is something that you could never imagine, the breadth of education available to you from Grant Kemp right there from creativecashflow.com. That man was an absolute angel by donating his information into that academy. We've got some information on NLP, pre-foreclosures, rentals, fix and flips. We can go down here to the second page. If I go to the second page, we've got information in here on skip tracing and hard money loans. All of that information, 100%, is available to you at your fingertips. So for those that have not experienced the Propelio Academy yet, go out there and check it out. I think I'm done. It is now right at 9 o'clock. I've spent an hour on this. I'm going to say goodbye, thank you, farewell to all watching. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in today. And going out the backside of this, I guess I'm done. Thank you all.